In 2017, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out, and it was a significant change from the previous games in the series. Many of these changes were very divisive in the fanbase, but personally, I think the changes were great for the series, as the gameplay loop was getting a bit stale. The previous game in the series, Skyward Sword, received very poor reception from fans, and Nintendo knew that the games needed a big change. The first major change was going from a more linear style game to an open world one, with a focus on exploration. Before the release of Breath of the Wild, fans were skeptical of this change as a lot of open world games were being made at the time and people were getting tired of the open world formula. When the game was released, many players found the game to be a breath of fresh air as the game's focus on both exploration and fun movement mechanics made traversing through the open world much more enjoyable. Not only was the game open world, but many of the Zelda staples that fans know and love were changed. Dungeons, which were a huge part of every Zelda game up to this point, were split into the Divine Beasts and Shrines. The 4 Divine Beasts resembled traditional dungeons but had a more open design to them instead of being split into rooms. And the 120 Shrines resembled the individual rooms of dungeons, each containing one or a couple of puzzles to solve or possibly a combat room. This change I'm a bit more conflicted on, as in my playthroughs I kind of missed a lengthy dungeon. But I'll admit that the smaller puzzles of the shrines fit the design of Breath of the Wild as a whole. The focus on a quick puzzle allowed for the player not to spend a lot of time in any one area, allowing them to get back to exploring. And since there are 120 shrines in the game, having them be long puzzles would make them more of a hassle than something to actively search out. An issue I know many people had with the shrines though is that in the beginning completing shrines was very important as you need the spirit orbs rewarded from the shrines to increase your health and stamina. But as time goes on and you've got a decent amount of the shrines, the reward isn't as significant. Getting more health and stamina is nice, but the need to find more shrines becomes less and less important as time went on. It got to a point where I wasn't even searching for them anymore, just doing them if I happened to stumble across them. Another big change was weapon durability. This one was very controversial, with many people disliking the game entirely because of it. I'm on the other side though. The weapon durability mechanic didn't really have a big impact for me. For the most part, even though my weapons would break all the time, there were always more weapons to be found close by, and sometimes even better ones. The only issue I found was that I'd often hold on to strong weapons for way longer than I needed to, waiting for the right moment to use them. This moment often never came, and I was essentially just wasting a slot in my inventory. The last big change in Breath of the Wild is the removal of items. Usually in the Zelda series, items can be found in dungeons and in shops, but all the reoccurring items are not present except for bombs. These items are replaced by runes, which all 5 of the main runes are acquired in the tutorial section of the game. I personally would have liked to see the hookshot or power gauntlets in the game. But despite all the issues many people had when playing Breath of the Wild, the game had an astoundingly well reception from players and reviewers alike. I know I love the game, but how about you? Did you find the changes frustrating or a good design choice? Let me know in the comments, but as always, thanks for watching.